been lit, boy. Everything goes.
We now return you to regular programming.
All right, guys, it's Thursday. It's podcast night. On the phone right now, we have one of the most iconic defensive coordinators in the NFL, Mr. Rob Ryan.
How you doing, Rob?
I'm doing great, guys. How are you?
We're doing
Excellent,
good, man.
excellent.
Awesome to have you on the show. I think the number one question we want to ask you is how are you and your family doing during the quarantine and COVID times, man? Crazy times.
Yeah, it really is. It is. It's crazy, but I'm still the optimist. I'm hoping for football this fall, and I know those Philadelphia fans right around you guys got to be going crazy for baseball and get that started again, and hopefully the Sixers can do something as well along with the Flyers.
Now it's tough where we live because I'm a Saints fan. He's Dallas, so we're surrounded by all these crazy Eagles fans up here.
Well, I've worked for both and been fired by both, but I enjoyed. The crazy thing when you're in this business as long as I have, every job I ever took as a D coordinator, we were ranked 31st was the highest we were ever ranked. And there's only 32 teams, so it's not like I ever took over really good situations.
Yeah.
But the one in New Orleans in particular, we were ranked dead last in the history of football. So and we went to fourth that first year and actually beat Philadelphia in the playoffs. So I'm pretty proud of that.
Hey, that's a good moment.
Hey, any team that beats Philadelphia, I'm proud of.
In the playoffs, Sean Payton's only road win, but
I remember that.
I know that, but I've also been in that stadium when I look up and go, let's see, 28 times 2. Oh, my God, we better start playing better defense.
Now, I was going to ask you, actually, how tough of a challenge was that being a coach and coming into a situation where the defense is ranked last, and you take it to, I think it was fourth the next year, which is an amazing turnaround to have.
Right. No, it was great, but it's but every job I've ever taken was ranked that way. It was once dead last in the history of football, but 5 of those teams and 2 of them we went in the top 5, and then the others all were in the top half of the league. So I'm proud of what I did as a coach, but I've always been able to put it out there and. People take runs at me all the time, but hell, that comes with the territory. I'm Buddy Ryan's son, so I can take it. And I know he loved his time in Philly. Believe me, it's one of his favorite spots. And those fans were so amazing and supportive. But they were tough when he first got there. He took over a bad unit when he first got there as well.
Now, how much of your dad's defense did you actually implement into your game planning?
Well, quite a bit. And as a matter of fact, when I got hired in New England, I think the reason I was hired after a 6-hour interview with Belichick, I'm sitting over there looking, and he's got all his coaches with him. And I go, and I know, when you're turning one of these interviews out, Tyler, you're like, man, this is a piece of cake. And then I see him rubbing his head, and I'm like, what the heck's going on?
Man.
He's like, we're so different. He was a zone guy, cover 2. I was nothing but pressure back then because I learned from my father. So, but it ended up working. But, we ended up morphing into a multiple scheme, which really Bill was mostly a 3-4 cover 2 guy on first and second down. And I like to say I think I had a little bit of an impact on his philosophy today. Being a multiple, guy in the Patriot way, but he definitely had an impact on my career. He was amazing. Situational football. He's the best in the business, and I learned so much from him.
Now, did you guys end up getting along, or was there always like that awkward tension between you guys because you were so different?
I think there's always a little awkward tension with Bill and everybody.
I would agree with that.
No, he was an amazing guy, to work with, but. There are moments. I mean, there are moments when you're like, man, this guy, he's, and I love grinding, but I learned that really from Bill.
Yeah.
How the work ethic I always had from my father, but Belichick would take it to a new level. His GM, Nick Caserio, is still there. I remember one day he was, nobody got sleep. I had to drive an offensive line coach back and forth to work at night because he'd fall asleep on the way home because he developed a sleep disorder. But Caserio broke his nose standing up. He was
Jeez.
standing up. He was so tired he fell and broke his nose. So that's the kind of grinding people, when they say, "Oh, this guy's a grinder." No. This guy's a grinder. Like, believe me.
Oh, wow.
But he taught me a work ethic that's unparalleled, and I thank him for it every day. And shoot, then I went on and worked for Al Davis. So I've worked for some of the biggest characters.
Oh, my God, yes.
Oh, man, yeah, I believe
Al
it.
Davis, Jerry Jones. I mean, I've been around all of them, and they are great people, but I've had a great past.
Now, did it shock you when Brady left Belichick this offseason? And do you think Belichick will still be the same kind of like controlling that team the way it was with Brady? Or do you think they're kind of going to take a step back a little bit?
Well, I think the one thing with Bill is, he's ever changing. Each week he adapts and he changes, and I think he'll do the same thing. He's got Josh McDaniels, in my opinion, right there, the best coach in football right now is Josh. So
Wow. Yeah.
I think having him there and having Bill there, I think it's going to be a great offense no matter who's under center. If Cam Newton's healthy, believe me, I've seen him up close and personal plenty.
Oh, yeah.
He'd be special. I just can't imagine him being healthy and having 31 teams pass on him. It's remarkable.
That's
So
tough.
yeah, it's crazy. But, so if he's healthy, I'm sure he'll be the guy. But if not, it could be interesting there in New England.
Well, Rob, the question I have for you is, as a linebackers coach or a cornerbacks coach, how much input do you actually have into the game plan?
Well, I mean, when I was a coordinator for 13 years in the NFL, I had all the input.
Okay.
But as a position coach, it just depends on who you work for. I think, working for Bill, he doesn't care who has the idea as long as it's a good one. And I remember me and Mangini were assistant coaches there, Eric Mangini, in New England, our first 4 years. And Romeo would say, "Hey, we got this. Can we come up with anything?" Well, me and Mangini would always fight to get our stuffs in, and then we clown the other one once we got our defense in. But believe me, we got a ton of defense in. I know, oh, sure you did. Well, I did. So you say whatever, the truth is the truth. And, so believe me, there's a lot of defense still to this day that they run that I brought to them. But again, it was, I made one call once. This is a true story. So, as an assistant coach, you don't call defense. You just kind of, you see what's called, and then you watch your guys and watch whatever assignment you have. I was up in the box when we won the Super Bowl our second year in New England, and I can remember in the snow game, against the tuck rule, the tuck game against the Raiders, and before the tuck happened, we got hit. Like, oh man, game over. It's a bummer. And Ernie Adams, who's Belichick's right-hand man, and he's part of the brains of Bill Belichick.
Gotcha.
He's like, "Man, that's a tuck. That's a tuck rule." I'm thinking, what rule? What is that rule? And then we got it, but then they have the ball. We go down and score, but they have the ball, and they get it, and now it's a 4-minute situation. They're going to try to run the clock out. Well, the first run hits us for about 7 yards. And I'm like, so my only call, and Belichick does not like anything on the headset other than, the personnel. So you tell them, "Hey, it's 21 personnel." And you don't say anything after that. Well, my thing was, "Hey, it's 21 personnel. Why don't we put goal line out there? What the hell's the difference?" He kept doing it. We stopped him.
Wow. That had to be a good feeling.
I'm like, yeah, that was a good feeling, man. So, but that was the only call I ever made that season. But it was a couple good ones. Richard Seymour stopped Zach Crockett, who hadn't been stopped on a 3rd and 1 all season. They decided to punt, and we went right down the field and scored and went to overtime and kicked the field goal, and the rest is history.
Wow. As fans, we don't get to see what goes on until Sunday. What is a typical work week for, like for you as a defensive coordinator, from sun up to sundown? How long are your days, and what does your workload look like for every day?
Well, people say, "Oh, he's brag, whatever." Well, remember, I did develop my work ethic from Belichick, and I had it inherited from my father.
Mm-hmm.
But a typical day isn't my typical day. Most people don't work the hours I did, but my typical day was this. After you win or lose on Sunday, whichever the case, you come back on Monday. You get there early, probably around 6, evaluate the tape. Then you'll meet with the players. You'll go over everything as a defense. I like to meet together, so it can be coordinated, and there's not one coach telling the guy what a great job he did when you think he didn't do good. So I like to do that. But then after that would go, the players may work out a little bit. It takes about 3 hours probably to go through a tape.
Wow, yeah.
And then but then after that, then you start on the opponent on Monday. And usually, you're watching game tape, you're getting to familiarize yourself with the next opponent. A lot of guys go home right when that Monday Night Football starts, but I always like to get ahead, so I would start looking at first and second down, and I'd probably leave around 1 o'clock in the morning on Monday. And then Tuesday, you're up at 6, the player's day off. So this is the best, that's the biggest part of the day, the work week if you're going to get something done. And so we got first and second down done that day. I usually try to split the staff up with guys. You don't want every guy in there because they'll drive you crazy. But some places do. And Belichick always had a small staff, so it was fine. But some of these larger staffs, and you can have 20 guys in there and they drive you crazy.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
So you always try to limit it to about 3 or 4 guys. We go over everything, develop the plan on first and second down, and then, put it to bed. You usually, get that done around 6 o'clock probably. And then I'd always start with my third down guy, try to get ahead with him. So I would grind until probably 2, 3 in the morning with my 1 third down coach.
Wow.
So I'd have a plan for third down. The next day, you come in Wednesday, you teach the first and second down plan to the players. You go out and practice it. Then you watch it on tape. You walk through and practice. So you show them tape. You show them your plan. You walk through that. Then you practice that. Then you show them the tape from practice. So they have a really good idea of what's going to happen on first and second down.
Yeah.
And then you go back the next day, and now you're teaching the third down plan, which you've already met. But I always like to have my guys fresh, so I'd always do red zone by myself. So I'd always like to have all my coaches off.
Okay.
After on Thursday night, I call it date night, man. Everybody get out of the office, just leave me there to grind. I'd grind all night long, but that'd be one of them 2 or 3 o'clockers, to just grind it out, but have the best plan I could have. And that's how each day was progressed. But then Friday, nobody enjoyed a Friday more than I did. As soon as practice was over early, you'd always cut down your reps. You'd have your plan in place. And then I'd be out of there, right after Pizza Friday.
Pizza Friday.
Man, do I love pizza.
Now,
I dominated the pizza.
Now, did you ever get like a time off, like in the off season, or did you have to get focused for like the draft? Did like the owners and the GMs have any like defensive input as far as drafting players?
Yeah, well, you get time off. You always get usually about 2 weeks off, and then you'll come back. But from then on, like the first part of the day, you're working on your scheme or whatever, and then the second half of the day is working on the draft players. And also that'll be involved with free agency. So you're working all the way up to the combine, but you're working banker hours. You're working 9 to 5, like I call them, and you're off on the weekends. So that you get plenty of juice. Believe me, right after that you get juice. But right after the season, you're ready for a break. You're tired. I mean,
I bet.
You're worn out, and I can remember being in the playoffs my first year with Belichick. When we were in the playoffs, I think we were getting ready to play Pittsburgh at a championship game. And shoot, I could stay awake through everything, but apparently he asked me a question. I had no idea what he asked. I guess I was asleep and he saw it. And Pepper Johnson's like, yes. Yeah, he hits me, goes, yes. Yes. I have no idea to this day what he asked.
Man, I think what's amazing as a fan is obviously we know that coaches go through a lot of
Yeah.
work. But like what you just described to us, that like you gotta love this game. That's a lot of work that you gotta put in. I mean, that's tough.
I bet you when you actually did get to go to sleep, you probably talked in your sleep a lot with everything that was on your mind.
I don't know. I know one thing. I was probably dreaming football, because the weirdest thing, so I get fired in New Orleans. We were just horrible on defense. We let all our good players go. We let Akeem Hicks go, who's a Pro Bowl D tackle. You think about this one. Now, I know you're a New Orleans fan, Tyler.
Oh, yeah.
All right. An all-pro young defensive tackle. We trade for a 14 tight end from New England. And then I'm like, what are we doing? Then
I
we
remember
let
that
all our
trade. I remember that
safeties go.
trade.
Oh, yeah, we had the 3 safeties. We had Malcolm. We had Roman Harper
Yep.
and Carroll. None of them were left. And I'm like, what? That was my package, man. That's all I brought was we had the 3 safety package. We were great. They were all gone. So that's pretty much when you know you're out of there. But anyway.
That's crazy.
So, it was ridiculous.
Now, what do you
Look,
think?
I'm
What do you
great,
think
but
of their defense now? Their defense, there's a lot
I'll
of good
get to
talent
it. I'll
there.
get to it. I got to finish this story though about sleep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Real quick. So I get fired. I know, hey, I'm great, but I can't stop people without players. But anyway, so I get fired, and there's still about 4 weeks left in the season. So I'm like, hell, everybody's waiting at the door for an interview. I'm like, man, let's get the hell out of here. Well, our friend owned a place in France. Well, we fly out to France, and I know I had jet lag, but man, I've never slept so much in my life. I never thought about football. There was a winery underneath us. I was drinking wine all night. It was the greatest experience ever. Yeah, but I think they're loaded. Like Jeff Ireland has done an amazing job. Because believe me, when I left, there wasn't a lot. There's Cam Jordan.
Yeah, pretty much
everybody
it.
else was gone.
Yeah, pretty much it.
Yeah, that was it. They traded Malcolm. Malcolm went by free agency, and we got Bird, who had a back problem.
Yeah, that was a bad one.
That one killed us. That was a coach killer there. But but Jeff Ireland, when he got in there, now they trust in him to draft defensive players, and he has done a fantastic job,
man. Now
he really has.
Obviously, the Saints, who've had a lot of heartbreaks these past 3 years, do you think they still have the core defense, the core offense to still get to that Super Bowl run, or do you think they're missing a certain piece yet?
No, I really think they're good. I think they've got everything. They've got coaching, they've got players, and they've got the front office. All that is together, so they really are in a great shape to make a big run. I don't know if this is Drew's last year or not, but he's such a winner and such a great quarterback. So with all the weapons that they have on offense, but you look at it, all those first round picks they have on defense.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it makes it, and then they added Demario Davis, who's playing better than all of them. So I think they have a great chance to do some great things.
I love to hear.
Well, Rob, who makes the decision like that? When you come in here, you turn a defense around, then you lose all your players. So the ownership had to know that things were going to change. But the defensive mindset that you bring in, it's still a good deal. It's a good package. It's a good plan. So why do they make that cut so fast? And why is it always the coach that goes?
Well, I mean, at that part, the results speak for themselves. We were a great defense, and then we changed. We went to Seattle's cover 3, which had given our offense trouble. But I'm not pointing any fingers. I accept all the responsibility. I mean, when the defense is playing that poorly, the coach should go, but along with a lot of other people. And that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it wasn't just me, as all the players too. So, but at the end of the day, it's unfortunate, but things happen. Sometimes things don't go your way. I enjoyed my time in New Orleans. Believe me,
great food. Great food.
Yeah, great food, great people. And it was great. But those things happen, and I don't blame them. I mean, look, you got to when you take a job as a coordinator or any of these jobs nowadays, you have to be able to accept responsibility. Mm-hmm. And I don't cry about it. Now, last year we had a lot of crying going on in Washington. Players, coaches, everybody. Shoot, my kids were fighting me to play still at the end of the year when everybody else was quitting. So I know I did a great job of coaching, but hell, my kid led all rookies in tackles and 4 fumbles.
Well, you know what?
That's
round
awesome.
pick.
I wouldn't want to see you lose any job. It's what's going on in Washington is probably a good thing that you're not there.
Well, I mean, shoot, I don't know what's going on out there, and but hell, I don't know.
I was heartbroken when they got rid of you in Dallas. I was heartbroken. I was like, man, what the hell?
Well, we had our defense was second in the league with 5 weeks to go, and then we never had any healthy bodies. We were down to guys that were starting off the streets. I mean, literally 4 of them starting off the streets that weren't even on anybody's roster. So, but hey, that's the way it is. They wanted to make a switch to a different defense, and the one thing Jeff Ireland did tell me is Jerry Jones did say that was because we played him the next year when I was in New Orleans and held him to 180 yards of offense and set a record on offense of 40 first down game against them. So that was the funnest game I think I've ever been a part of. But Jerry did say that was definitely one of the biggest mistakes he ever made.
Wow.
So, and I agree with him.
Now, are you done coaching, or like if the team comes out and offers you, are you still looking?
I'm actually looking at Alabama's defense right now. My son coaches out there.
Wow.
I'm trying to make myself a better coach while I'm not working. Right now, I work at the UK at Sky Sports. I do all the games there. I've done that, when I was off of work before. So I commentate. The nice thing is I get to watch every NFL game. I comment on them in 13-hour day on Sunday, but I really enjoy it, but I've also, going proactive, studying the college game because it's coming back to the NFL. So when my chance comes, I've got a lot of top guys up for jobs next year that I plan on working for and that they've offered me already. So we'll just see how it goes, but I'm not done yet. I'm far from it.
Oh, yeah, man, that's
Rob,
awesome.
I have a 2-part question for you. The one is, like, all these new coaches that are coming in right now, like McCarthy and all them, and their whole defensive scheme. Carolina has a turnover. Washington has a turnover. With COVID going on and the lack of practice and stuff like that, how hard is it going to be for these teams to come out of the box fresh, knowing the game plan, and doing all the things you have to do to win?
Well, I mean, I was through it. I think every coach that was in the league a few years ago, when I first got to Dallas, we had the same thing happen. We had that strike. And then we never had any OTAs with them. We just started right in training camp. So it's actually happened before. I don't think there's any excuses. I think if you're a good coach, you'll get that team going. And
I like that answer.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it's got to be. It's not like anybody else is practicing besides Brady and the Bucks.
Mm-hmm. And the second part of that question would be, if there's no college football, how is that going to affect the draft as far as coaches taking chances on players that they really don't get much playing time?
Yeah, that'll be interesting. But I think nowadays with all these underclassmen guys coming out, I think a lot of them have been already viewed by the scouts. But you're always going to have to do your due diligence. But, if I'm like a Trevor Lawrence or somebody and they're going to move the college football to the spring, I'm not playing.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be crazy to do. I'm sure you'll see if college football does get moved back, I bet you the top players won't even play.
Yeah, because you think about it, if they move it to the spring, they'll be playing during the draft.
Right. You're not, you'd be a fool to play.
Yeah.
Wow. Now you've obviously got to play with a lot of, amazing coaches, amazing organizations. If you had to pick, which one was your favorite? Are you able to pick one?
Well, I mean, obviously I won 2 Super Bowls with New England. So I think that was pretty good. And I've been with some programs that were a little suspect. I'm the only one dumb enough to leave New England and win 2 Super Bowls and go to Oakland. But I wouldn't change it. I really wouldn't. Yeah. I enjoyed it. I loved Al Davis. I was there for 5 years through 4 head coaches. And but I loved Al, and that's where I got coordinator of the year in the NFL. I've been a coordinator a year in major college and a coordinator a year in the NFL. So
it's an amazing accomplishment.
That was something that I took a lot of pride in. I think our defense played really well. I got to coach Hall of Famers Warren Sapp and Charles Woodson. Nambi was heading that way. He should have stayed with me. But it was a great experience. I loved it. My wife's from California, so it was a unique experience, but we really enjoyed it. And then just to move on, I mean, I went to Cleveland, enjoyed my time there with Mangini, but New Orleans was really my type of city. I loved it. I loved the people, and I'm still big there, and I really enjoy it.
That's awesome.
You know, I have one more question for you before we let you go, and I appreciate all your time that you've given us. As the league changes, and like you see it now, it's becoming more of an offensive league. How tough is it for a defensive coordinator to come up with a game plan because the way they're throwing flags anymore? You know, do you change your style at all, or do you still have your corners pressure? Do you still, you can't hit quarterbacks certain ways anymore? How hard is that on you?
Well, I think the biggest thing is each year there's subtle changes, so you have to stay ahead of the curve. I mean, you don't have to like the rules; you just got to play by them. So it's one thing. It's an even playing field on everything you do. So, the biggest thing is now you've got those rules, but you've also got, the RPO game, the all these different quarterbacks that run and cause issues there. So there's a lot to this game, and that's why I'm actually being proactive. I'm studying what Alabama does.
That's awesome.
Because those plays, those type of offenses are coming to the league, whether you want them to or not.
Absolutely.
It's not like back when my dad was coaching, said, well, we'll run the speed option, against the 46. Yeah, well, I'll kill your quarterback. But hell, you can't even hit the quarterback on his knees anymore. They used to talk people out of it. You can't talk them out of it now. You got to defend them. So, it's a unique challenge, but it's something that's an even playing field. And the biggest thing, I think, the biggest change is, and that's a big change, but the biggest change, I believe, is the way players are, the millennials compared to the guys that you had, and they would stay as long as you would to study tape. Guys aren't like that anymore. Guys got all this other stuff going. They've got my brand, my this, my this, and it's a little different, but you have to appreciate where they're coming from. You have to be able to adapt. It's still a game where that player has to play for his coach.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And they got to believe in his coach, and I think that's the beauty of the game. I think it keeps a coach young. You're around the alpha males, the best of the best, and these guys. I had so much fun coaching last year. The season was terrible, but I enjoyed watching, my young players develop. It was fun to watch. It was fun to watch those guys keep competing, and they're going to be good players because of it in the future.
Oh, yeah.
You know what, son of a gun, I just had two more questions popped in my head, and I really don't want to be a pain in your butt, but I have to ask
go ahead.
What happens during halftime? As a fan, we sit back and wonder if the coaches are really chewing the shit out of the players for playing lackadaisical. What happens during halftime?
Well, I'll take that in two parts, because in college, man, it's always that pregame speech.
Mm-hmm.
Here's your pregame speech in pro football. All right, guys, let's go get them. But in college, you had a long time, man. You got like 45 minutes to get players and all that. In pro football, you get like 15 minutes. So guys, by the time they get to the locker room, they go to the restroom, they come back, you show them the quick adjustments, and they got to go back out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, you may have a couple of, great, whatever, butt chewings in there or whatever you got to give them. You got to give them basically on the way out the door. So they happen quick.
Yeah.
Do they happen still? Sure. There's no question. But, it's usually, hey, let's get in there, make the adjustments. What can we do better? We're going to run this now going forward, and we go back at it. So, but I'll tell you who's the best at it is New England, because what they'll do is they'll have an entire different attack for the second half.
Yeah.
So, so they've already got that plan.
Wow.
So not only have they got their adjustments, they're hitting you with a different combination. So that's what I always thought was great about them, being a part of that culture and learning from them. It was unique, and it was good. So you never play your full deck of cards out there in the first half. You keep something close to your vest, ready to hit them with.
Keep something in your sleeve.
The best thing I like about Bill Belichick is he's not a coach that just stands in one spot on the sideline with a headset on. You see him, he's in every huddle. He's in the offensive line. He's in the defensive line. He's talking to the corners. He coaches, and you don't see too much of that anymore.
Right. Well, if you knew Belichick, he's got the smallest staff in football. So he's got great coaches, but, he's got to do a little bit of everything because he's so understaffed. There's staffs out there with 30 coaches, and then there's his staff with like 8 or 9.
Now,
So,
does he prefer that? Like, is that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
No question.
Gotcha.
He wants guys that work. He wants guys that, in the same building that are same commitment as he's got. So, and hey, I mean, there's pluses for both, but I've been a part of every one of them, so I can adapt to any of them.
All right, and my last question, and I promise this is my last question. Of all the defenses that you've ever seen, whether you coached them or not, what is the best defense you've ever seen? Whether it's your dad's defense with the Bears, whether it's the Steel Curtain.
Yeah, well, without a doubt, it's the '85 Bears. Well, not even close. And anybody that says different never sat on the sideline and watched them play.
Yeah.
They scared the hell out of the other team. They were, every one of them was scared. They took the field against that defense. They were scared, and for good reason.
I bet.
Wow.
Well, Rob, we thank you so much for just giving us this time and giving us an insight to the NFL. It's been an amazing educational experience. Like I said, we hope you and your family stay safe and just have an amazing time.
Thank you, guys, and appreciate the time.
No problem.
Thanks a lot, Rob.
Good luck
Have a
with
great
everything.
night.
All right, thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rob Ryan.
Rob Ryan.
Rob
That was
Ryan.
awesome.
Rob Ryan.
That was awesome.
Thank you, Rob, so much. Wow.
And I say this after all the interviews, but this is what I love because, as a fan, we sit back and we're like wondering what they do. What's this? What's that?
Dude, he took us through our whole week schedule.
That is awesome, and you're like hoping like, I hope to God the coach is in there flipping over a table, screaming at the players.
Okay, guys, let's go.
Yeah.
Wow, Rob.
Great insight.
Ryan.
Really
well,
is.
guys,
Really
we
is.
have a second interview coming up just moments away, so we're just going to take a 5-second break for you guys, but we'll be right back. All right, we're back, guys. We got on the phone UFC fighter, lightweight, Matt Frevola. Matt, how are you doing today?
Doing good. Just had a good day of training, and it's a beautiful day out in Long Island, and feeling good.
How has the training been for you, Matt? Do you have to wear masks or anything when you're training?
No, but the training is kind of like the gyms are all still closed, but it's kind of like secret trainings here and there. It's small groups, and it's kind of like Aljamain will hit me up, and be like, oh, we're getting a group together here at this time, and let's do it. It's you got to take the training where you can get it right now at this point.
So now, basically, as you're training, you're not training for anyone in particular as far as a fight? Are you just working on general moves, working on your ground game? What do you do as far as that?
I'm having fun with it. I'm a martial artist at heart, and I'm always training. And honestly, times like now, where I don't have a fight booked right now, but I know I'm gonna have a fight soon. I'm just training everything. I'm having fun with it. Some days we go in there and we spar. Some days we go in there and we do jiu-jitsu. Some days we cage wrestle, and it's just having fun with it.
And I saw growing up you did play a lot of sports. What made you, want to pursue the martial arts field?
I wrestled in middle school and high school, and that was definitely my combat competitiveness came out during that. But yeah, I played football. I played lacrosse. I played baseball growing up, and then I played a little college football, a little college lacrosse, and then once that was over, I really, I missed wrestling, and my buddy did jiu-jitsu, and started getting into jiu-jitsu because I missed the grappling, and then it kind of took off from there.
That's awesome. Now, since you live in New York and you played baseball a little as a kid, are you a Yankees fan? Because we're big Yankees fans over here.
Oh man, I'm a Mets fan.
Oh man, there it is.
I was born that way.
It's okay. New York split. You're either Yankees fan or Mets fan.
Yeah, exactly. I've been to a Subway Series or two. Those are fun.
Now, you said you don't have anything lined up yet, but you expect something soon. How much time does Dana White and them give you as far as preparing for a fight?
Man, I've gotten from like 3 weeks notice to the most notice I've gotten was like 8 weeks notice. Usually for me, I always tell my manager when I'm gonna be ready, and then I'm ready by that date. And so like I told them, the earliest August 29th is what I want now. So I'm training, kind of getting physically, mentally, everything prepared for August 29th. But I also told them that if September Fight Island comes about, I would not mind waiting to get out to Fight Island because I really want to go to Abu Dhabi.
That would be an incredible experience because it looks beautiful there. That whole setup. I mean, training on the beach, everything. It looks great.
Now let me ask you: do you think Jorge Masvidal? Do you think that was kind of foolish to take a fight like that on 6 days' notice?
We don't really know like what shape he was in. I got a feeling that he was training. I know he's like a fighter's fighter and all that, but like a title fight on 6 days notice, I think he was in there getting his teammate Dustin Poirier ready for his fight. I think he was training the whole time, and luckily he was training because he had the balls to take that title fight in 6 days notice. So power to him.
Wow.
Do you think just the style of the fight wore him down?
Oh yeah, Usman is a beast. He's so well-rounded, such a good technical striker and a strong wrestler, and that's like the probably the worst matchup you want to take with a guy on short notice.
Yeah. Now, do you personally, because I know you were just talking about this, do you like not knowing who you're going to fight like so quick, or do you like knowing in advance, like I'm going to fight this guy, I can study some of his last fights? Because I know like if it's, a quick notice, they really don't have time to study you either, which is a plus. But do you like to get to study your opponent?
Yeah, I definitely do. I like to get noticed. Like 8 to 10 week notice is ideal. But I always I like to be in shape when I get noticed. Like that's why I say, I'm gonna be fight ready August 29th. So I'm hoping to get some news soon, and I'm in shape right now. I'm feeling good. I'm training good, and now I'm ready. I'm ready for a name. I'm ready for an opponent. I'm ready to dial in my skills to a specific opponent and sharpen those weapons to beat whoever's in front of me. So yeah.
Absolutely.
No, Matt, I have to ask you about the rankings because I'm looking at the rankings now, and you're in a loaded division. I mean, you have some big names: Habib, Justin Gaethje, Poirier, Ferguson. Connor, whether Connor's fighting anymore or not, but
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Stacked.
You look at some of these records, and some of these guys have 14 losses, and you're sitting down there at 8-1. How does that ranking work? Like, it's not like something I'm typically used to, like in like college basketball or sports, where you fall after you lose.
Yeah, it's a little. The rankings are always a little weird, but I'm pretty sure that they do the rankings like. I think like some of like the credential like media guys, they all like vote for like the rankings or something like that. But I mean I know that everybody in the UFC is tough and game. You're not gonna get to the UFC if you're not skilled, and so I think it's good to fight up the ranks, because that's what you got to do to get to the title. But right now I don't even really look at the rankings. I'm just excited to get whatever matchup I get, and then really dialing in.
Taking it one fight after another. Now, what is your view on how the UFC's been handling like the precautions and guidelines? I feel like they've been doing a good job as far as COVID and UFC. One thing that I think is pretty awesome is, obviously it's a downside that there's no fans, but you get to hear things that you typically wouldn't hear in a normal fight. I mean, as a fighter too, you get to easily communicate with your corner because you don't got to worry about the noise being so loud.
Yeah, it's definitely a different aspect. But for me, when I'm in there fighting, I'm pretty focused on the task at hand. It's the no crowd doesn't really affect me. But it would be a little weird, kind of hearing the other person's opponent. But yeah, we'll see. And then the other part of your question, the UFC has been doing a real good job with putting these fights on in the safest way possible. Unfortunately, I was on the bad end of that, but I get it.
Yeah.
Like my cornerman tested positive, I tested negative, but they still pulled me off the card.
Yeah.
Just because I was like, I traveled with him and everything.
You were in his bubble, which sucks.
Well, we hope your
Yeah.
corner man is doing well. This COVID thing, it's like Russian roulette. You don't know what the outcome's going to be with this thing.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Now, what kind of style of fighting do you like? Do you like to stand up and just go toe-to-toe, or do you like to get on the ground? I mean,
I love it all, man. I love it all. Like I said, I started out as a wrestler, and then I fell in love with Muay Thai, and I've been out to Thailand a couple times, and I got to really train the Muay Thai from the motherland out there. And it's just the 8 limbs of death. I love the elbows. I love the knees. I love the power. I love the way of life out there. So I go through phases. Like I go through phases where I just love Muay Thai, and then I go through phases where I just want to do a lot of. I love jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is great. Just a goal of mine is always to get my black belt. I think that's a huge accomplishment to get your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. That's always been a goal of mine. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, wrestling, boxing. I really love it all, but I guess you'd say those 4 martial arts I focus on the most, and then the way that I put them all together in a mixed martial arts fight is that's the steamroller, baby.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing the different things that a fighter can do. Now, when you're in the ring, especially with the no crowd, you hear some of these leg kicks and these punches that fighters are throwing, and you think to yourself, that's gotta hurt. But in the ring, is it more of like an adrenaline thing where you don't feel the leg kicks you give to these guys, you don't feel the punches you give to these guys, but then you go to the locker room after everything settles down, and it's like you just feel everything after that?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. When you're in there, you got your adrenaline going. You're fighting, and I don't feel much when I'm in there. But as soon as that fight's over, and I'm limping out of the octagon, and then I get the ice on, and then the adrenaline dumps, and I'm feeling it. But I'm limping into the after party, and then at the after party, I don't feel anything anymore.
You probably wake up though and feel like you got hit by a truck.
Yeah, exactly.
what did you think of as far as the Fight Island first set of fights there?
Oh, did we lose him?
Are you there?
Yeah. Sorry, you were breaking up.
What did you think of the Fight Island fights?
They've been looking awesome. I think it's pretty amazing what Dana White did, just putting together that island in Abu Dhabi just to pump out these fights.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Abu Dhabi looks awesome. I've always wanted to go out there. It looks like a great show, and I think they're gonna keep pumping these fights out there. So hopefully I get to go.
Now I want to ask you something as far as like what's been going on. Like I heard Dominic Cruz, his last fight against who did he fight? Cejudo.
Yeah.
They stopped the fight, and Dominic Cruz to this day still says, "Look, I was on my knees, I was getting up, and I was protecting myself. I was still taking shots, but I was moving to get up, and they stopped the fight." And then you see someone like Aldo who absolutely got destroyed, and they didn't stop the fight right away.
Yeah.
How are you as far as a fighter? Are you like, look, I want to fight till I'm knocked unconscious, or do you think the refs are doing the best they can to prevent further injury?
Being an MMA ref is probably one of the hardest jobs out there. It's a thankless job. But if you do a shitty job as an MMA ref and let somebody take too many blows like that Aldo fight, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
If you stop the fight too early, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's a tough job, but I remember that Dominic Cruz Cejudo fight, and I know Keith Peterson, and I agree with his stoppage. I think Dominic Cruz was kind of being a little baby about it, but
it's easy to say you're okay after they call the fight.
Yeah, exactly. He ate like 4 or 5 shots like with his head on the mat, like.
Oh yeah, I feel like in the moment, you're frustrated, after all the training you've done. But I feel like when you go back and watch film, you're kind of like, I'm kind of happy they called that fight.
But
I'm still here.
I know Dana actually came out and he was actually ripping the referee for not stopping the Aldo fight sooner.
Yeah. I mean, that fight definitely needed to be stopped like way sooner, and that's why I always kind of side on the side of caution. You know, you gotta take care of the fighters. You know, you don't want any serious brain injuries to happen, and even like that. Like I said, it's a tough job, and you got to side on the side of caution, I think.
Now, my last question for you here is, as a fan, we watch these fights, and there's a moment almost in every fight where a fighter takes a big blow to the face, and, the commentators go crazy, the crowd goes crazy, and you see those wobbly legs, and they're in danger. Now, as a fighter, do you notice that? Like, obviously you notice you just got hit, but, like, are you still thinking clear, or is it, like, a little cloudy, like, on your perspective of that?
Well, you're saying, like, when you get hit with a good punch and you rock?
Yeah.
Yeah, like my last fight, I got hit with that flying knee by Violent Bob Ross.
Oh, man.
I was definitely on Queer Street for a minute. But that's where your training comes into play, your conditioning comes into play, and you got to get on your bike, you got to jab and move, and you got to recover, and it takes a little time. And then having a good wrestling background, being able to shoot for a takedown and even get a takedown and recover is big. But it's part of the fight game, being able to come back from adversity and just being being able to take a shot,
Yeah.
And once you realize that you like fighters who start out, you got your chin down, your eyes up, your hands up, you're not made of glass. You could take a shot at it, and
could drop you any day.
Yeah, and you got to be able to trust your defense and trust your movement and trust your training, and fight through those kind of things.
Well, Matt, what is a more deadly fighter to fight? Someone that wants to go toe-to-toe with you like a Conor McGregor. Conor's not really good on the ground. Justin Gaethje, I mean, he's got stone hands. Is someone that wants to go toe-to-toe fighting like that, or is someone like a Khabib that can get you on the ground and be technical with you? What's more dangerous in your eyes?
You got to be well-rounded for sure. But a striker who's gonna just go in there and like stand right in front of you and bang, is kind of like a 50-50. They're going out there, they're throwing, they can knock you out or you can knock them out, but so it's almost like 50-50. But a guy with like a Khabib who is like just such a strong wrestler, such good control, good submissions. I think that's definitely probably tougher, a specialist that way. I mean, me personally, I feel, I'm prepared for either one, but like I said, there's always a puncher's chance when you're standing and banging with another stand-up guy. You could catch them, they could catch you. But against a guy who's such like a strong grappler, like who can just control you, you kind of have no hope when you're under a guy like Khabib and he's just taking your soul away,
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Now, if you had to give yourself like an overall rating, what's your best part of your game? And if do you have any, there's not a lot of UFC people that listen to our podcast, but if you have a weakness, what would it be?
A weakness, I would say bacon, egg, and cheeses, and pizza.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer.
And pizza, yeah, and ice cream, yeah. No, like this, one of the hardest parts about it is, staying disciplined with your diet and your training, and staying good with your recovery. That's one thing a lot of these fighters don't take serious is your recovery, just living like a martial artist, training day in and day out, being smart about your body, listening to your body, being in tune with your body, and then cutting the weight. Obviously, I'm like a natural fat kid at heart, but I got to cut down 155 pounds,
Wow.
which sucks. But we're professional, and you know, I got my process, and we always make weight. So yeah, I think I answered the question.
You did.
That's
Now,
amazing.
do you think anyone's ever gonna beat Khabib?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think the best guy who's got a shot at it is retired, and that's not Conor McGregor. That's George St. Pierre, GSP.
Yes.
I think and I know, I think Khabib. I mean, people are saying that Khabib's father passed away.
Yeah, I heard
And
that.
they're saying that he might not even come back, and I hope he does come back, because you know, Khabib is you know, one of the best pound for pound out there, and that him versus Justin Gaethje is a fight that we need to see.
I agree.
I'm so excited for Justin Gaethje and Khabib. It's gonna be a amazing fight, and I think my boy Gaethje is gonna get done.
I hope so. I mean, nothing against Khabib. I would love to see someone beat him, just like Amanda Nunes. You know,
I'd love her to lose once.
she's a beast. I mean, and I would love I like the upset. I mean, like when Ronda Rousey went in there and she tried to throw hands with her, I knew she was done.
Yeah. You know, it's tough to. You don't really see a lot of MMA guys stay undefeated. That's what's pretty amazing about Khabib too, is that he's still undefeated. You know, even GSP had that loss to Matt Serra. You know, it's tough to stay undefeated like that in MMA, but we'll see. You know, I think Khabib's got a good shot at it, but we'll see.
We'll see, man. Well, Matt, we want to thank you for just giving us time.
Especially after training, you know, to take the time to call us. That's awesome.
But
yeah, of course, man.
we hope you and your family stay safe, man, and we're wishing you luck with everything going on in your future, man.
Thanks a lot, guys. Yeah, if you want to talk, hit me up.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
man.
Thank you, man.
Have a good night.
Yeah, and tag me on whatever you guys do with this, and I'll share it.
Yeah, man. I appreciate that.
Perfect.
Really do.
All right, cool. Have a good one, guys.
You too, man.
God bless.
Later.
What a great day we had. We
Oh,
two
yes.
solid interviews. I feel drained. I don't know if it's because I was nervous for some of these interviews.
But you know what? These interviews are getting so much easier. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't have. I know in the beginning we were like reading off sheets,
It was like
writing
scripts.
down notes.
We would just get notes and notes and notes. And now it's just
the flow, like Matt and Rob Ryan. You know, just the questions. You know, just.
it's great, man.
It's nice when they give you good answers like that. Like we've had people on one word
Yeah,
answers.
when they like to talk, it goes more smooth. It's just it relaxes you, and it's an overall fun time. It's very educational.
But the key is we want to stay respectful with these people, so they like doing the podcast. They come back on, because I'd love to talk to these people again.
Yeah.
You know, it's an awesome blessing for us to get the inside scoop on sports that we really didn't know much about.
Well, this will be up on all the platforms, guys. YouTube usually takes a day later. Continue to share that love, guys. This podcast is growing and growing, and we're absolutely blessed, and we love every single one of you guys and every moment of it. We hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a great weekend. We'll see you guys next week.
It's gonna be hot.